In today's episode, I'm going to talk about timeouts during investigative interviews. So, what happens when an investigator asks a question and the union steward suddenly realizes where the investigation is headed? Can they immediately stop the interview and request a private meeting with the employee? The answer may surprise you.
Welcome to the HR Investigations Podcast, exploring the issues, challenges, strategies, and solutions. Sponsored by RPCHR and hosted by Natalie Ivy, an HR consultant, licensed PI, and author of the best-selling book, How to Conduct Internal Investigations, a practical guide for human resource professionals. And now, here's Natalie.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the HR Investigations Podcast. Today's topic is one of the most common questions that investigators ask. Can a union steward request a recess after hearing a question that reveals the focus of the investigation? Well, let's walk through a real-life scenario, shall we? Imagine this. You're in the investigative interview, and you ask, as the investigator, to the employee, who is a represented employee by the labor union, can you explain why company equipment assigned to you was not returned until Monday? The employee freezes. The union steward suddenly understands the allegation. Well, now what? Okay, well, the purpose of representation, and I discussed this in my last episode, is not merely just attendance. It's really effective representation. That's what a union steward is elected to do. That means that a steward may need to confer privately with the employee that is currently under investigation. Well, what are the reasons? Well, it could include just clarifying facts. It could be helping the employee to understand the allegation, making sure that the employee even understands the question that was asked, and even protecting against just misunderstandings. Well, isn't that coaching, though? Well, the word coaching does create some concern, but it's really more about what I call appropriate consultation. So this is where the union steward is just making sure the questions being asked are understood. They're organizing facts, clarifying timelines, and even encouraging truthful responses. Remember, they can't encourage dishonesty. That is not permitted under Weingarten. Now, improper coaching by the steward would include creating false stories or helping the union member to weave a false narrative, directing, as I said, dishonesty, or even obstructing the investigation by saying, hey, you don't answer that, or you better not answer that, or even threatening in some way, or just cutting off the questioning and advising a union member to just simply not participate. They cannot do that. So the difference between the consultation and the representation versus improper coaching is really critical. Now, why is it that a recess really kind of matters? Well, look, everybody is going to be better off when both sides here, the investigator, who is in really a role of management, if you will, and then also when the union member and union steward really understand the issues. Everybody's got to have clarity around what's going on. So brief consultations can make sure that you improve accuracy. It can reduce some confusion, prevent misunderstandings, and even increase employee confidence in the process that they're really being treated fairly. So what happens, though, when this is really at kind of an inopportune time? It happens. You're going to ask a very pressing question, and you're really looking directly at your interviewee, and then the union steward says, wait, before my union member answers that question, I would like to take just a couple-minute recess. That's how it comes up. Okay. You need to allow it so that they can do that brief consultation. But then what happens when it becomes repeated? Well, I'm going to talk about some more of that in a future episode, but I'll just give you a preview here. You're going to want to allow it, but with some limitation. This can't be every single darn question that you're asking. They're wanting to confer out in the hallway. Okay, there's a certain reasonableness here. There's not really a set amount of times that a union steward can engage in that representation in consultation. There's not really a limit on it, but there is a certain kind of reasonable person standard here. Okay. So in the next episode, we're going to examine how management really needs to respond. So if you're an investigator and you're conducting the interview, and you should be a member of management, by the way, you're going to need to learn how you should respond when a union steward requests that recess, and then when the employer can really legitimately kind of draw that line, particularly if they've been, doing a bit of game playing, if you will, where it's, almost every 5 minutes, the union steward is wanting to confer out in the hallway. So where this is very much a start, stop, start, stop, start, stop, and it's really interfering now in the investigation. Okay, so this was a quick one today, but we're going to continue on with this series about Weingarten rights. And so the other thing I wanted to mention to you just in closing here is a couple of things. Number one is my workshop is coming up on June 23rd and 24th. We are now in the final window of registration. So because the workshop is happening on the 23rd, we do close out registration about 5 days beforehand. So if you are wanting to get some continuing education credits, you want to make sure you're leveling up your investigation skills, then you've got to get registering online at rpchr.com by June 17th, end of business day. And that will be the cutoff. And the reason for that is we need time to be able to ship you your materials. So anyway, looking forward to seeing you join me and leveling up your investigative skills and learning about investigative interviewing. We will talk a little bit more in my class about Weingarten, but we're also going to just talk in general about how to manage employee relations issues, how to handle allegations of harassment, discrimination, retaliation, other types of employee misconduct, and we're also going to be talking about documentation. And by the way, we work a practice mock investigation where you're going to apply what you learned in the first 2/3 of the class in the final third of the class, and you're going to apply your skills to work a practice investigation into allegations of harassment. So if you have any questions about it, certainly you know where to reach out. You can just find me at natalie@rpchr.com, or you can just go right to the website and fill out the contact form, and one of my team members will certainly respond. Okay, so that's it for me today. I look forward to having you back at the HR Investigations Podcast. See ya.
Thanks for joining us today on the HR Investigations Podcast. Be sure to subscribe, like, and share the show with any colleagues who will benefit from our strategies and solutions. For free bonus resources, simply visit hr-investigations.com. And remember, if you'd like some help with improving your investigative skills, or if your organization is in need of an external investigator to help with a case, please get in touch with us. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode.